How's it going, everyone? Today we got some stories of the consequences of getting with the crazy girl. Sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's just jump right into it.
And we're crying, like
So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the first story Alex. So anyways, Alex had a girlfriend for a little bit of time. She was kind of new to him, like they'd only been dating for less than a month at this point. And before he actually, started dating her, a lot of his friends were like, hey man, because they had been like talking, flirting, whatever for a very long time. And a lot of his friends had told him, hey man, I'm just looking out for you. Don't be with this girl. She's crazy. She's nuts. Like, I've heard stories, I've heard rumors, I've picked up on little things that she's done. It's just not a good idea. And of course, when you're like young, dumb, and seemingly in love, or not really, but you think so, you're going to like not listen to your friends on this. And I definitely get it. I've definitely been in situations where I'm like, oh, my friends are just being stupid. But a lot of times they have no reason to say this unless they have no reason to backstab you. They're only looking out for the best. Could they be wrong? Sure. In this case, Alex's friends were not wrong. So anyways, Alex's girlfriend was this Friday, and Alex was planning to take her out, be all nice, dress, like all the cool stuff, right? Take her out for her birthday, have a whole celebration or whatever. He wakes up Friday morning with 102 fever. He's sweating, throwing up, chills, everything. So he FaceTimes his girlfriend, and she picks up, and immediately she's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? He's like, look, babe, I just woke up with 102 fever. I'm throwing up. I feel terrible. Like, I can't take you out tonight. Let's do something this weekend at the earliest. I want to do something for your birthday, but maybe not right away. She seemed like she took this in strides and really didn't care. Turns out she did care a lot, but we'll see in a second. So Alex doesn't think anything of it because, he showed his girlfriend kind of proof that he was feeling terrible, and she seemed to react right away like, oh, that's totally fine. Like, we'll do something later. Don't even worry about it. Like, that's out of your control. Just feel better. So Alex honestly didn't think anything of it at the time, which I don't blame him because I don't think I would either. But anyways, Alex is just sitting in bed. I don't know, he's watching some TV or something. I mean, when you're sick, you really don't want to do anything. So he's just kind of sitting there enjoying life, or not really enjoying life, kind of just trying to distract himself from the terrible feelings of just sickness that he has right now, when he gets a call from one of his friends. His friend calls him. He's like, dude, like, where are you right now? His friend's like, and he's like, Alex says to his friend, man, I'm so sick. I'm in bed right now. I feel gross. And he's like, man, I don't know how to say this, but your girlfriend is at the bar right now, running around, begging for guys here to get with her, to take her home, and you already know what. And Alex is like, thinking to himself, okay, my fever must be so bad that I'm hallucinating right now, because there are no other reasonable explanations for what my friend just said. And the silence on the other side of the phone kind of alluded to Alex's friend that Alex was not really comprehending, or at least kind of not accepting what he said, right? So Alex's friend is like, dude, I know it's super crazy, but do you know Ben or Brent from our engineering class? And Alex is like, yeah. He's like, dude, like, she went home with him. Like, I'm sorry. And yeah, sure enough, apparently Alex's girlfriend was so angry that Alex decided to get sick. Because, of course, it was a choice, guys. Getting sick is a choice. She was so angry at him for getting sick that she decides that she's going to go to the local bar and basically try and get someone to go home with her, right? Just to get back at him or whatever, right? So Alex is like, I need time to process this. He just like falls asleep because he's sick, tired, exhausted. Next day comes around. He wakes up. And he decides to call up his girlfriend. And his girlfriend is like, you feeling better? And Alex is like, I guess. And Alex is like, well, I also heard something weird last night. Like, were you at a bar? And she doesn't even let him finish the sentence. And she's like, yes. Like, you could have gotten your stuff together. You decided not to take me out on my birthday. Like, that was your choice. And for that, I decided just to pay you back a little bit. It's important that we're even in this relationship. So basically, this girl was explaining to Alex that them being even was the equivalent of, he has a fever, she goes home with another guy. Like, bro, Pretty shortly after that, Alex ends the relationship, realizing that sure enough, his friends were right all along. Anyways, we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the next story Aiden. So anyways, Aiden breaks up with his girlfriend. He had been with her for like 2 to 3, 4 months, whatever. And she was kind of a little strange, a little crazy, a little psycho, but also nice. They had a good time together. They bonded over a lot. And it was not a messy breakup. Aiden was kind of expecting her to be like screaming, throwing stuff, it to be a complete mess. But she took it pretty well. Aiden just kind of assumed that she was on a similar page of, yeah, this isn't really working out. This is a good call. And Aiden didn't think much of it. This is when Aiden got one of the scariest text messages of his life 2 weeks later. He gets a text message from his ex-girlfriend. Very simple, very short, concise, to the point text message. It reads, "I'm pregnant," with a little period at the end. Just to emphasize how important that sentence is. Because no one really uses periods in one-sentence text messages, unless you really want to emphasize a point. So Aiden almost drops his phone at this point. He's walking with his friends from class, and he just stops. He just stops walking. His friends are like, "Are you good?" Explains what happens, and they're like, "Oh my God." And Aiden tells them, like, "I swear, like, that stuff only happened a few times, and when it happened, we're very careful, very protective. Like, how could that have happened?" So his friends are like, "Oh, she definitely poked holes in your whatever," or like all this kind of stuff. And he's like, "Oh my God." And that's when he gets another text message from her that was really, really, and I mean really, suspicious. She says, "Hey, I'm either going to look, either way, I'm going to take you to not either way, but you have two options. One way, I take you to court and you have to pay a ton of money every single month for the next 20 years while I raise this child. Or you give me 20 grand up front," which she knew that Aiden had because he worked a welding job over the summer, which, if you guys don't know, if you don't know what you want to do, going to craft schools, not trade schools, is not a bad idea, because welding, plumbing, etc., jobs like that actually pay pretty good. So little college advice if you have no idea what you want to do and you want a solid enough job, right? Anyways, she knew that he had a decent amount of money in the bank account because he worked a pretty solid job for a while and he didn't really buy anything. I think he was saving up for something. So she flat out asks him for 20 grand up front, and if he gives her the 20 grand, she'll leave him alone. Yeah, so guys, let me just give you a little heads up. If someone is actually trying to raise a child and they want to get child support from you, they're going to need more than 20 grand. Because the thing is, that 20 grand is not going to pay whatever it costs to raise a child over 15, 20 years. This is a ridiculous scenario. And no one who is actually thinking would ever ask this. So immediately red flags go off. Because Aiden's friends say, "Hey man, this kind of seems like some kind of scam to front you out of your money. Because why would she ask for 20K up front when she even said she knows she can get a lot more over time out of you? It seems like she's threatening you with an option that would make more sense for her to choose herself." And that's where the logic of the situation fell apart, because if she really was just thinking for herself, which this text message being very threatening, whatever, seemed as if she was, if you went along that premise, she would have 100% not even given this option. She would have just taken option one, brought him to court, and got all the money that she needed, much more than 20K over a decent amount of time, right? So Aiden immediately gets suspicious. So he sends her a very simple request. "Can I get a photo of the pregnancy test?" Aiden doesn't get a response for a while. Aiden is at this point still believing that she's telling the truth, even if he's a little bit suspicious, or at least he's preparing for her to tell the truth. So Aiden goes back home, tells his parents, which is so awkward and uncomfortable. They're obviously or not obviously, maybe even surprisingly, they're very calm, collected, and they just want to be there for their son, which, shout out parents, W parents right there. They kind of go through the options. They explain the child support process. They talk to him about is this, do you want to be in this kid's life? You really should be. What are the... A lot of conversations that when you're 19, 20 and in college, you're really not trying to be there yet. I mean, some people want to have... look, if you want to have kids then that's great. But I know that a lot of people don't. So I should really rephrase that to, if you don't want to be in this situation at any age, being thrown into this situation is just not good, right? But here's the thing. Aiden checks his text messages, and he sends another one saying ? because she had not responded for like 36 hours about the pregnancy test. And it goes green, which if you don't know on iMessage, if you text to someone and it's blue, 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 and then you send a message and it's green, that means that they blocked you. So all of a sudden, Aiden checks other social media websites like Snapchat, Instagram to try and contact her. He has been removed on Snapchat and blocked on Instagram. And that's when Aiden realizes that the whole thing was a front. The whole thing was a scam to scam him out of his money, pretending to be pregnant, trying to get 20 grand out of him, and running. Absolutely insane. We're going to call the subscriber who submitted the next story Brian. So anyways, Brian had a girlfriend, and this is probably one of the most insane stories for the next like 5 or 6 minutes. So strap in for this one. This kind of blew me away. Brian had a girlfriend, and they were going on an anniversary dinner for 1 year. And they get to the restaurant, and she seems so nervous and just so weird the entire time that they're getting there. So they sit down, they start to order food. She just seems to be thinking about something else. And Brian's like, is everything okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. And like 2 minutes later, she looks at her phone, quickly gets up and says, I have to go to the bathroom, which normally you don't check a message and then go to the bathroom. I mean, you could, but it looked like she read something which made her want to get up and leave. So Brian doesn't think anything of it. 20 minutes later, she comes down, sits down. He's like, wow, that was a long trip. And she's like, I don't want to talk about it, which, fair. Maybe don't ask your girlfriend about how her adventures to the bathroom were. Like, yeah, completely blew out the toilet. They're going to have to get a whole new plumbing system. Look, maybe not a conversation you want to have. Totally understand. But another 5 minutes later, she gets up and leaves again. He's like, she's like, don't ask about a bathroom. And he's like, that's a little suspicious. So he gets up and he just like casually walks around the restaurant because he's just confused. And he looks over and she's sitting with another guy. And he's just like, what? So sure enough, he watches as she gets up and walks over to sit with another guy. And he watches as she gets up and sits with a third guy. This is over the span of like 15 minutes. He is completely dumbfounded. The waiter's like, the food at the table is getting cold, but he does not even care. So she is walking back to him. He gets up and leaves. She doesn't see him leave. She just thinks that he got up and went somewhere. And he sent her a text going to the bathroom BRB. He goes over and he talks to the first guy that she sat down and talked to. And he's like, hey, hello there. Like, my name is Brian. The guy's like, hey, what's up? My name's insert name, right? He's like, this is a really weird question, but do you happen to be here with your girlfriend for dinner? He's like, yes. Is she okay? Like, why do you ask? Brian's like, is this your girlfriend? And takes a photo or picks up his phone, shows a photo. The guy's like, yes. Like, how do you have a photo of my girlfriend? He starts to get like a little weirded out. And he's like, well, I have something very weird to say. I think, sir, we've both been bamboozled. He takes out a photo and shows the two of them together. It's like, how long have you had this relationship? He's like, this is my 1 year anniversary with her. And Brian just looks at him and says, sir, this is my 1 year anniversary with her. And I don't think this ends here. So he says, come with me. And the guy's like very flustered or whatever. They go to the next two tables. And basically by the end of it, they all realize that they're all here on 1 year anniversaries with this girl. This girl picked up 4 different guys in relationships in the span of one day a year ago. It is the most ridiculous, absurd story I've ever heard. So they all walk back to the table, which she's sitting at Brian's table, and the look on her face is of just pure panic, pure shock, pure horror, because she knows that she just got caught. Real quick, comment girl down below if you made it this far into the video. That'll be the secret word of the day. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing. Subscribe if you're new and like stories. Trying to hit 1 million subs. I like gold play buttons because they look cool. And let's just jump right back into it. So anyways, yeah, they all kind of sit down, or they don't sit down. They stand around the table, confront her. She starts crying, admits to it all. They all get up and each individually say that they're ending the relationship. So she tried to have it all, man, and she got nothing. That's what happens, bro. That's just kind of what happens around here. But anyways, the 4 of them, you know, they're angry, they're upset, they're heartbroken. And that's when Brian proposes, look, We all have the same problem. We're all going through the same thing. The only people who can understand what we're going through the best is us. Do you want to like salvage this night? It's only 8 o'clock. So the four of them end up going out and actually having a great time. They're all very different people, but they all get along really well. Probably because they're bonding over the same experience, one could put it, right? So yeah, they actually become friends. They're not like close or anything, but every couple of months, they have a little group chat, and it's all his girlfriend's name. So let's call her Kate. The group chat is Kate's exes or Kate's many boyfriends or something like that. And every once in a while, they will go out and, I don't know, hit a club together or go get some drinks together or do something together. And it's just like weird. It's the weirdest friendship that Brian ever has, but it's one of his favorite group of people to get along with now, to like hang out with. It's hilarious. Final stories from this guy named Cameron. He met this girl on Tinder. Careful, gentlemen. First of all, I've definitely had a few Tinder experiences. Not anything like didn't convert or anything like that, but I've been on the site a little bit. Just in general, beware of catfishes, beware of bots. If a Tinder profile says add me on Snapchat, don't add them. They're a bot. If it says on the cover, like, oh, I don't use this, add my Snap. They're trying to fish you. It's like all those girls who add you on Snapchat, gentlemen. They're not real. And also, be careful allowing an algorithm to make choices that should be done organically. If you find someone great, then you find someone great, right? But just be aware of that. Anyways, this is a Tinder horror story. So Cameron matches with this girl. She turns out to be pretty crazy. They get back to his place. This is a very short story, but very interesting. Things get to it pretty quickly. Cameron feels a little weird about it because it's like, oh, I found some rando on Tinder and we're already, doesn't think much of it. Let me just say that one of the most scariest things to a man that could ever happened. He was just enjoying himself, and she was enjoying herself. And that's when she bit his wiener. Just chomped down on it out of the blue. She didn't draw blood. She didn't do anything crazy. She didn't bite it off or something crazy, right? Wasn't even that bad of a bite, right? But if you don't know, a lot of nerve endings down there. You even doink it quickly, it hurts. You you fall on your, whatever. Like even a little bit of pain is like 10x, right? Cameron is in the worst pain of his life. She awkwardly gets up and leaves. And Cameron drives himself he can't even drive himself to the hospital. He has to call one of his friends over who lives 5 minutes away. It is the worst experience he's had in a while. From that point on, Cameron has not re-downloaded Tinder. Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click.